Hello, friends, family, followers, and fans. Today, we are welcoming you to Zoom In, and the question we're asking you is your house upside down? Don't worry about the question because we are going to answer it anyway. In the wake of this COVID-19, where some people are experiencing lockdown, some people are experiencing curfew, others have to work from home, others have to stay at home. What is happening? Is your house upside down? Now, to help us discuss this, we have different people from different parts of this world. I want to start with Tigist Fanta, joining us from Maryland, USA. We also have Rhoda Kagendi Njagi, joining us from Kigali, Rwanda. Then we have Chief Dingani Mfune, joining us from Malawi. And then we have Kezia Kunta joining us from Nairobi. And of course, the one and only Brother Jackson Saya, also joining us from somewhere in Nairobi, not very sure. But for this discussion, he's joining us from Nairobi. So welcome, guys, to Zoom In. And to start us off, we are talking about our houses being in order. Are they upside down? Now, let's talk about working from home. The question is it practical? Let me go with Lingani. Is it practical to work from home?
Hey, well, my job normally keeps me around the house. If I need to get some alone time, I go into the church where I am right now, sitting in the church. Luckily, I live right on the campus. Otherwise, it gets difficult with the little one. Oh, she wants to be on your lap. She wants to see what you're typing. You touch this, she also wants it. So that can become a little tough. She needs her attention. She does. But other than that, now since I can't go visiting church members, work around, but it's also giving me a little bit more time to play with her, take care of the boy as well. Otherwise, man, it's a tough one.
It's a tough one. It gets difficult. Double K, Kezia Kunta. Is it practical to work from home?
Right. So I'm a stay-at-home mom. Okay. So normally, actually, my life is at home. When they put down the quarantine issue, I was just like, this is my normal. It's like, what are we doing anyway? No, but I also homeschool my daughter. She's 2. And if anyone wants the 2-year-old, they're the most inquisitive, most adventurous little people. And so literally she wants to go outside and explore. And the best way to teach children is by playing. And so sometimes when you play like that, it exposes you and allows you to see different things. So now the difference is we are now in the house. And so for me, my biggest challenge is to bring the experience of outside within the house and still keep her as excited and as motivated. I thank God my daughter is very disciplined. We don't have tantrums and we don't go through the whole squabbles of mine and yours, maybe because she's alone. But for now, everything is actually quite peaceful. I think also we tend to underestimate children because we just think children want to mess and destroy, and sometimes they want to create and make. And so I've used that, the mess and destroy part, so that we'd probably pour something or make a big mess and then create something out of it. And slowly she's learning that the sitting room is actually supposed to be organized, and you can actually create order. So it's not really about 2-year-olds coming and breaking things. Children are not like that. Children actually want to form structures within the mind that this is supposed to look this way. And when it's not looking this way, it's a mess. And so maybe us teaching the children that the difference between mess and destroy and create, I think has been an adventure for me. So yeah, I'm not struggling at all.
Not struggling at all. Tigist Fanta, you're also known as Tigist Oyeke. How is it working for you in Maryland?
Well, I'm a nurse and I work in the emergency department here in the Adventist healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's been tough. I'm also alone. So as a single mom who is working in the hospital and who is a full-time mom, as you can see.
It's okay. That is basically what we're talking about.
It's been tough. Before I joined the workforce, I was a stay-home mom like Kezia. I homeschooled my children, and I would do that over again. But what I have found working for me is that I have a schedule for my children, and so I actually integrated what I used to do as homeschool into now, because they also loved and missed homeschooling. So, yes, Georgia, excuse me. It's great that I spend time with them and they enjoy my company. And we have a little creek behind our house, and it has given me a chance to take them into nature and, without, a lot of contact with other people. And for me, the part of combining homeschooling with work and exhaustion that I have from work after standing for 12 hours has been difficult. That part has been difficult. So if I was a stay-home mom and that's all I did in this during quarantine time, I would enjoy it. I would tell you that. But other than that, the stress of that and having to quarantine myself sometimes because of exposure to corona patients, it's been great, and God has been with us, and my kids are not sick, and that's all it is for me right now. But it's difficult mentally for me, but then by God's grace we're pushing.
Thank you. My brother Saya, is it also tough working from home, or are you also doing homeschooling, or you are schooling from home?
Thanks. I'm the student, so I am schooling myself from home. Frankly, I have had the privilege of working from home the past 5 years or so. So my immediate previous employment allowed me to work from home. So it's a field, it's an area I've been comfortable with. Actually, it works well with my personality. Previous jobs would have been more difficult. I come from a background of research science, and I also then ventured into learning science. So I do more of learning science, which is stuff you can do easily from home. But I realize working from home has a potential of either really doubling your productivity or really diminishing it. So it's actually, there's a formula to it. You need to be scheduled, you need to have rituals. So like I work out in the morning for like 30 minutes, I have my very good breakfast, and then you almost notice when you do all these calls, there's this place. So this is my workstation within the house. So there's actually an 8-hour schedule. There's meals. Fortunately, within the estate I live, there's space to walk around. So I make sure at least I take a few minutes walking, making my phone calls. So yes, I work from home. I enjoy it because of my personality, but it's not easy. It can be very boring. Fortunately, again, for me this time, because I also do lots of preaching, there's been a lot more preaching to be done, surprisingly, online and everywhere. So working from home, both for less for myself, because I do team building. People don't do team building on Zoom, but more now because of preaching and stuff, it allows me. But because I'm developing learning material and stuff, because like right now what I'm working on is a project to help people navigate transitions, courtesy of what we're doing. So I'm busy putting it all together. And then in the evenings, I'm doing a lot of revival weeks and everything. So for me, working from home is good. At the moment, my wife is not in. I don't yet have children. So my wife is not in. She's in school. And yeah, so I have the whole house to myself. But I could almost imagine what it must be for Kagendi, Kezia, Tigu, those who have children. Because yes, I have hosted
And
my
of course
nephews.
myself.
And yourself. Yeah, those guys who have children, I've hosted my nephews and nieces, and that's the end of doing anything from home when those guys are around. They literally used to camp in front of my door, knocking in the morning when you're thinking, I need 2 hours to work. And they're like, no, uncle, come out. So my heart goes to all of you. But for me, God has been gracious to me in this season.
Okay, thank you, Brother Sire. Just make sure that you don't turn that house upside down, literally. Rhoda, you're back. I lost you some time. And now, tell us more about your house. Is it upside down, and how are you coping up with this quarantine and lockdown? Rwanda is in lockdown? Go ahead.
Yeah, lockdown. At first, it was crazy. It was chaotic. I have 3 kids between the age of 2 and 8. The 2-year-old and the 5-year-old, she just turned 5. They are quite handy. But this week, this is the 6th week, we have managed to come up with a schedule. At first, when it was announced that we can't move, we were just there, happy that we have time to relax. And I noticed it wasn't going to be easy because everything was not just working. I'm a student also. I had to do my assignments. I had to do my work. I had to prepare everything at home, no house help. So at first it was too crazy, and my husband would go to work. It would be working like all the time. He didn't have time. So, and for example, our morning would wake up, clean up, and by the time I tell the kids, okay, settle down, I'm going to take a shower, I'm coming back, I would come and find the house was just the way it was before I cleaned.
Okay.
And they would be smiling, laughing, and happy, and they wouldn't see anything wrong with it, you know? And I was getting so worn out, no energy. I wouldn't do my work. I wouldn't do my assignment. I wouldn't study. And that's when we sat down. I told my husband, I think I'm running mad. We came up with a schedule. Like, I told my girls to sit down and write a schedule, what they want to do. That's when we came up with a timetable of what we want to do every day. And it started working slowly. We created a space, a room that they would mess up. They would do whatever they want to do. And then after that, they would pick and clean it. It worked for the first week. The second week, where my kids go to school, they started having their online classes. So we would combine the classes. When they're having their classes, the little one is taking a nap. I would sit down and do my work. And at night when they're asleep, that's when I would sit down and read. And it has worked for us. 6 weeks down the line, we thank God.
Okay. Thank you so much, guys. To our viewer back at home, I think you already understand what is going on, because people are talking about things getting tough, working from home, homeschooling, or schooling from home, coming up with schedules. Now, I want to come back to Fanta. And now that you've talked about your profession as a nurse, I mean, you have to leave home and come back later, attending to people probably who are sick, people who have coronavirus, people who have COVID-19, the disease. How is it working for you? Physically, you said you have to work for about 12 hours, standing for about 12 hours. That is already work already. And then you have to come back home, bearing in mind that you are attending to patients. How do you just transcend from work to home? And then tell us how it works for you, because now you are part of the central services. You have to go out there and work.
It was difficult when we didn't know how this disease was that serious. we weren't even wearing masks. But then now when it got very serious and we had many cases, it was now as healthcare workers, we have to, protect ourselves and protect the people who work with us. And it was difficult, I would say, because at a point I was exposed to a patient actually, and I did not know, because at this point you didn't know the difference between the flu and the corona. It was earlier during the time. And so when I was exposed, I had to quarantine for 14 days. And that was painful for me. Telling kids to stay away, no hugs, no kisses. And knowing that I was the only parent that they got that affection from, it was tough on the kids. They would cry. And now that they're always home, it was really difficult emotionally for me. And it was hard to not do it. I don't know if you understand, like just see your child and not being able to do that. At the same time, it was difficult because their cousins they would see normally, cannot, because my house is now under quarantine, because I am very, I am the corona itself, because I actually I'm with the patient every day. Mm-hmm. So it has been difficult. It has been very difficult. Every day I have changed to now changing everything at work, putting everything in a bag. When I come home, they know they cannot come close to me. I have to rush to the bathroom, shower, disinfect, whatever I have to do. Then now I can, but it doesn't take the fact that you're not exposed or you're a carrier. That is in the back of your mind. You're just waiting who's going to have fever next, or, that's how I live, so it's like you're just always, on the edge. So it's not easy. The census has increased. The whole emergency department is with people under investigation. So it's tough. I would not say it's easy. It's tough. And you're also scared that we're going to run out of PPE soon and all these things. And the fact that I have to one day go to the hospital and I'm not coming back home, So I actually have been talking to them and preparing them for that. I say, this issue might escalate and mommy might not come back home. So like teaching them, just giving them a little bit of information at a time and preparing them. I pray that they never come, but that is how my household is right now. And yeah.
Because Fanta, when you said it's tough in your initial statement, I just maybe someone could just easily just brush it off that it's tough. But no, I've realized that you mentioned the word tough more than 5 times, and now I know that it is really tough. Psychologically, it is tough, leave alone the physical bit. But God is gracious. God is kind. Kunta, is it tough? Do you have neighbors who have to go to work and you're very sure that when they come back, it's not going to be easy?
I'm struggling to talk after Jesus has just spoken. From the bottom of my heart, that's like the parent's worst nightmare. Literally, there's nothing worse that you would live by, just knowing that you're on front line and you're literally protecting not just your family, but the whole nation. So I want to commend you. That's a big job you're doing, and we really appreciate you. Right now, you're literally putting your life at risk and the life of your children. And so I just want to say thank you. May God cover you and protect your home. And God is faithful. We will see this thing through, and we will be in a safe place in Jesus' name. Amen. So on my end, I'm paranoid from everything, because maybe I'm not in healthcare. I'm just, a mom. So I don't know. Did you touch the floor? You need to sanitize your hands, or did you go and what if you run outside? And I've made her a mask that's the size of my palm because there's nothing that fits her. Because now I'm like, gosh, we have to protect. Like, it's very difficult managing, a disease that you just don't understand. But the best thing that I know we could do is to follow instruction. This is when it's time for humanity to follow instruction. And so what we've been doing is we have actually, I think 98% of the time, my complete household has been on internal lockdown. My husband has not left to go to work. My children have not gone out. My child has not gone outside. Even the nanny is like, she's so cooperative. I thank God. We're just indoors. And if someone needs to go to the shop, we plan for it, and we, orchestrate one meeting, please, if you need to go, tell me you need sugar. Otherwise, yeah, so it's a little bit, it feels like, a little bit of a military situation. But, God is faithful, and we must not forget that. Fear and faith don't share the same room. So we have to have faith. If we continue with fear, so I can't show my child that I'm scared. I just give her the confidence and the faith and focus on, internalizing. Otherwise, you move around with the child. Don't touch that. Don't go here. Don't move here. Don't. And then she starts sensing there's something wrong. Yeah, it's difficult, but that's how we've been living.
I understand where you're coming from. Now, I want us to talk about the space, learning to share the space that we have. And I want to bring in Saya because he has all the space he needs to do whatever he wants to do. Saya, would you share your space with someone else? Kezia, you mentioned something that you want to talk about on that space, your living room and even the other rooms. Kids have to know that it is now time to stop this. It is now time to collect the toys. Saya, can I share your space?
If I have reason to believe you're healthy, I have abundant space. Actually, the initial days of the pandemic, I host a Bible study of guys who show up. So they did come. However, care now needs to just be exercised. It's not, I would not cram people. It's irresponsible to do that, to have people come. So yes, I would share my space, but within certain limits to do it. I think it makes sense. And I think it's part of the Christian response. At this point, it's not just sermonizing and sending verses. It's also in practical things like that. So I'll tell you something practical I've done. As part of my space, I have a garden at the back. And I just like farming. And yes, I am Luya. I want to eat my skumas. And I realized I have more skuma than I need. More skuma than I need. So what I did is I told the guard, just come over, and I dispatched him to the back. That's my space. I just told him, have a field day. And needless to say, he showed up after that, beaming with a sack. So there are small or big ways you could be able to do it. I have allowed, there's a lady who comes to clean. So I've allowed the lady who cleans to come once in a while, like once in a week. And part of why I'm doing that is A, sharing the space, but B, it's also our way to give back. Some of these people who support us on various things come from places where they live from. They have to earn that day in order to eat. So if you tell them like, till this corona is done, maybe 3-4 months down, God knows where they'll be. So there are smart ways. Maybe people may not need to move in and stay with you, but I think within reasonable ways, there are smart, clever ways we can share our space, whether you're alone like me with ample space or you have smaller spaces, you could be able to share space. And then finally, I think you can share your virtual space. What Corona has done, I think our concept of space needs to expand from merely the physical to also imagine the virtual space that we have. So what we are doing on the Zoom-in call now is sharing our virtual space, allowing people into our space so that we could communicate hope, practicality, and things like that. So from bigger, medium to virtual, I think there are various ways we can share our space.
Okay. Rhoda, you talked about space. Do you have it in the first place? Do you have the space to share?
Yes, I do. I can see Saya nodding. Yes, I do have space to share. Unfortunately, the situation around, no one can move, and we're in Rwanda. We don't. Everyone has their own compound. We don't share. The apartment kind of setting, there are very few. So we are kind of advantaged because we are the only ones in our compound. If one of us gets out to go and get something, they come and disinfect themselves. And so in that way, we have managed to contain our kids, at least, though they feel so sad, they cannot move, they cannot go to the malls. But in that way, we have been able to contain them. But also around us, in each estate, there are those small vibanda where those other people stay. Also here we have people who come and knock asking for food, and if you have any help, that's where we also share. And I think also, as Saya mentioned, that's also a way of opening our space and sharing what we have. It's also a blessing when those kids pass and they are shouting food. My kids have learned, Mama, to give that food, and if we have something to share, we share.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know. We've lost Pingani. As we work on that, you seem to have lost him. So let me just come back to Tigist. Share with us your story about this space. As we were talking, we saw you trying to talk to your daughter Georgia. How do you share this small space or the big space that you have?
Right now, mentally, I would not be okay sharing a space. Not that, like my house, that is. I actually sent out a message to my friends saying, we know who we are, you can have people over, kids visit other kids. If, you're okay, you're not exposed. But for me, as I said earlier, my house is under quarantine because of my contact with corona patients all the time. Now, if there is anything I have done is, yes, the virtual space, my time, talking to people, advising people, people have questions about this thing. Yes, I share my knowledge, my virtual space. My physical space, I'm sorry, I cannot. I would not be okay because it's hard knowing that where I have been to share my physical space. When it comes to helping, I have a neighbor who just gave birth downstairs, and I thought of baking her a cake and taking and say congratulations, but the mindset around here is very serious. Even when I take my children on the creek for a walk, if they see you come, they go the other way. They take social distancing literally. So I thought of it and I said, they know I work in a hospital. So if I go and God forbid something happens, that's on me. And lawsuits are real in this country.
Okay.
So for me, as a health worker, I just keep off and I stay my home and myself under serious quarantine. And when all this madness is done, I can share whatever I have. So what I can share is just virtual at this point, honestly speaking.
Okay. Thank you for that. Even virtual is space, and the good thing is that we cannot fill that virtual space. Is Fune back online? Lingani?
I seem to be.
Yes. Share with us your space, how you share your space.
Well, for some reason, we are not taken as essential workers, but I still have to at times visit certain church members, some who fall sick, they want prayers, some of them who can't go online the way we are online right now. If there's a funeral that happens, they still need somebody to go and preach there. And so, you're still forced to attend one or two things outside of the home. And that has been a little bit tough. I try to avoid as much as possible, but where I can't, I still go, but the people can tell, and I've explained to my churches that, look, I will come, but you will see something different. I'm not going to shake your hand. I'm going to sit a ways away when I'm praying for you. I ain't trying to hold your head or anything of that nature. At this point, let's just understand the way things are. But if I can call you, if I can encourage you over the phone, fair and fine. Let's do it that way. Where possible as well, I try to send messages to our church forums and other things so that I don't have to be there, but they can feel my presence. They know the man is still around. People who come home because of the little ones, I meet them outside. Luckily, the campus we're on here has some nice benches under the trees, so we're able to just sit. They sit over there, I sit on my end, and we chat. Whatever it is that they came to express, I meet them, we talk. But for the most part, things have slowed down now when it comes to movement. And I do that because I have little ones in the house, and I don't want to be the reason, they get the virus and stuff of that nature. That's it on my end.
Okay. As I was coming to the studio, I had to instruct my little ones that let me come back and find the sitting room a better place, because I may walk in with a guest. It was a mess. We have to share that small living room because they have their toys, they have everything. You can even step on a pin. So it is happening that we need to share the space that we have. Even if you have the biggest space on earth, you will still have to share it with everyone else. And something interesting that we can share the virtual space that we have. Thank you so much, guys. Now we want to move next. How do we keep our children busy? Kezia, you mentioned that you keep this little one busy. Just again, let me just come back to you briefly because you had mentioned it, and then I come back to the others. How do we keep these guys busy, and how do we bond? Kezia.
Right. So, for us as adults, this is like a situation. We know that we're fighting a pandemic. We know that we're home. It's a bit of a situation. Please, and I want to make this very clear. For children, this is a memory. It could easily be one of the best memories of their life, because they can't understand that mom and dad are now home. There's no school. I have them 24 hours a day. I can tell them everything. We can do all sorts of things. Like for them, this is opportunity. So I have to try and look at things in the perspective of my 2-year-old and see that she's looking at an opportunity for us to create a memory. And so when I think like that, every day I try and make life practical. So for example, if we're cooking, I'm literally going to get her in her favorite jeans, and she's going to go to the kitchen and she's going to cut up the potatoes and she's going to get all messy, and it's going to be a memory, because when we're done, I mean, we'll just go to the bathroom and shower and put the clothes. It's not so serious. I think when we take the perspective of children, everything changes. We don't have to have this amazingly neat house, the things. If she wants to jump on mommy's bed, it's not good. But if it's going to create a bond, then just yesterday we were jumping, both he and her were jumping on my bed. Gosh, I can't even remember the last time I was jumping on a bed. But it's a memory that she's going to hold for the rest of her life. And so please remember, I deal with the toddler. She doesn't talk much, she does. No communication, you reasoning, it's doing. So I think it's important for us to picture life from the perspective of the child. Also, it's time for us parents to understand what happens in school. And in school, it's all about getting messy, meaning we need to put down whatever gadgets we have in our hands, whatever phones, these addictions that we have, these little chatbots and WhatsApps and what have we. You need to put it down and spend time even talking or playing the little games. We used to play things like Animal Kingdom. For children who are older, it's so much fun. Paper and pen, nothing else, just writing and coloring and tearing and scribbling. And I am the queen of DIY. I like anything to do with DIY. So I'll make a jet or a chatterbox. And that stuff holds so much water in children's memory that I wish as parents we would take this moment.
Okay, Kezia, okay, you are the queen of DIY. You're also the queen of something I don't want to mention because you are not. Guys, we have run out of time, but I want us to also share our experiences with the bonding. I want to give every one of you a minute. So let me start with Rhoda. Just a minute. How you bond with your children, and of course with your husband. Just tell us briefly, Rhoda.
With my children, I've come to realize that I didn't know them like personally. I discovered each kid, they have their own likes and dislikes, their own behaviors, what they prefer. And since I have come to discover that, I know when I'm in the kitchen, I will call Ima. When I want the sitting room arranged, I'll call Heba. And we get different activities that bring us together. They're happy. We have time to play. As we are speaking, they can hear they're playing hide and seek behind there with their father. We eat it together, which sometimes was hard because daddy would come in at 8 when already they have slept. In the morning, I wake up and they have to take breakfast, school, then just sitting together and making and laughing at the table, that is enough. Praying, I realized we take more time for our devotion and telling stories. We have time to listen to them and to answer their questions. It's really a blessing, and just to know what they think, their fears, I think that's really important to us.
Okay, thank you so much, Rhoda. Let me get to Saya. I know you won't have much to say because you are just bonding with yourself. Now, just briefly, just tell us something about bonding and keeping busy.
Keeping busy is, one thing I encourage everybody, and which I do myself, is I have a bucket list of things I want to either learn, or questions I want to answer, or skills I want to develop. And so I have been picking from that bucket list and answering questions through reading or learning a skill or two that I want to become better at. That helps me keep busy. You'll be so shocked how time runs when you do that. So keeping have been okay. But I think practically things I have seen that work is go back to your bucket list of skills to learn, questions to answers, and skills to develop and build them. Keeping connected, and this maybe now I speak for people who now have to live by themselves through this for some reason. Get on the call, scroll through your phone list, reconnect with family, call. It's not as good as being there in the flesh, but it's awesome. It's still okay. So whether it's using any of the social platforms to do that, or whether it's on phone, please keep in touch, because much as I'm an introvert, I do reach points where I realize I need a human contact. So getting on the phone and call helps balance an individual at any point.
Okay, thank you, brother. Bingani, I know you're a man of few words. Can you do 30 seconds?
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. So with the little one, our bonding is awesome. She likes singing. So, we'll get a book out. She'll pretend she's the chorister in church, and we try to sing. Yesterday, she had me put her baby on my back and tie a cloth around and make sure the baby stops crying. So we're having some fun times. And of course, the puppets come out and play. So these are some ways, they'll teach Bible verses, they'll sing with her. And it's a good time for us to yes. It's a good time for us to enjoy. That's the fun of being at home all day, every day. Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Tigist, I want you to just take 10 to 15 seconds and tell the world that there is hope, because you are a symbol of hope and you represent hope. But just take the next 10 seconds and tell the world that there is hope.
Well, for me, the hope that has been is Christ, honestly speaking, because I learned that in the medical field, you can never be too careful to avoid this disease. Whatever we do, everything we do, touch, has been something we taken for granted. Breathing is something we taken for granted. And these very things are threatening our lives. So for me, Psalms 91 has been my song and my scripture. As I go early in the morning, I kind of get into this stress zone. And I said, you know what? Anything I do of myself is not going to help me at this time. The blood of Christ has given me peace. The protection of God has given me peace. Honestly speaking, doctors tell me, please wear your PPE. You're going into a COVID positive room. And I'm like, okay. I go in and with the patient, talk to them, And so for me, have God, and honestly, God who holds the world in how it is. If you see the universe, you have no fear. God, if God has let me have corona, that is him. So God has it. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much, guys. To our viewer back at home, you see, it is practical. This thing is real, and we just want to commend our healthcare workers, those of us who have to be out there to ensure that we get the essentials. We need to just pray for them and thank God for them. We are coming back again sometime next week, same time, same place. Zoom in so that we can talk and talk and talk, encourage one another. God bless you and see you soon.